We all know that Tom's a madman for planes. Anyone who's had the pleasure of seeing Top Gun while knuckle-deep in a bucket of popcorn can attest to that. But what many of the actor's fans don't realize is that he's also got a massive draw to real estate. And not just suburban white picket fence houses. We're talking over-the-top, multi-million-dollar mansions spread all across the country. Perhaps none is more jaw-dropping than this monstrosity of a Beverly Hills mansion. Purchased back in April of 2006 when Tom and now ex-wife Katie Holmes were going strong, this LA abode boasts tennis and basketball courts, a swimming pool, multiple guest houses, and its very own kids' playground. Covering close to 10,000 square feet, sitting on a seriously respectable 1.3 acres of land, this house, or palace, is home to 7 bedrooms and 9 bathrooms. So what's the damage? $30.5 million. The action superstar decided to put it back on the market after years of calling it home, with an exorbitant selling price of $50 million. It seems excessive, but in the eyes of billionaire financier Leon Black, who now holds the keys, it wasn't too over the top. Still, the Beverly Hills pad doesn't even come close to the luxury-infused manor in Colorado. Crews shelled out big time for this remarkable property back in the 90s, in the Nicole Kidman era. While all kinds of contradictory purchase prices have been thrown, when Tom listed it for sale back in 2012, it was published at a heart-stopping $59 million. What can you find inside a $59 million home? Pretty much anything and everything. The property features 4 bedrooms, a gym, a recreation room, a library, a kids' playroom, and a 1,600 square foot guest house that would rival any main home across the country. And while the cabin-like interior is a blessing, where this property truly shines is its land. Covering just shy of 300 acres just outside Telluride, the popular ski town, the property boasts a number of wooded hiking trails and, of course, truly stunning views of the surrounding mountains. As the absolute inverse of a sprawling Colorado log cabin, Tom also reportedly wields the keys to this marvelous New York City penthouse apartment. The property, which sits on West 12th Street between 5th and 6th Avenues, features 5 terraces, multiple fireplaces, 7 bathrooms, a shimmering chandelier centerpiece, and a whopping 6 separate floors, totaling around 8,300 square feet. Rumors suggest that the Mission Impossible actor bought this chic apartment for $15,075,000 in 2009, which soared to nearly $30 million in value when it was re-estimated 4 years later. And those are all of Tom's houses. Nah, just kidding. We're not quite done yet. A few states further south, you'll find his awfully lavish residence at the so-called Skyview condo building in Clearwater, Florida, a beautiful locale spread across a 3-mile stretch of white sand beach. The building is located on Cleveland Street, in between the Church of Scientology's flag building and the church itself. It boasts a personal garage that can fit up to 9 vehicles, which, trust us, Tom takes full advantage of, and an absolutely heavenly rooftop pool. It was believed that Tom bought this place to live with his son Connor, who at the time had recently moved to Clearwater. While the exact purchase price is littered with secrecy, the pool alone was said to cost $500,000. On the inside, an entire room is dedicated to a state-of-the-art flight simulator. Tom is a pilot after all, and not just on the big screen. Yep, the all-star actor is a legitimate flyer, license, training, and all. And he makes sure to put that license to good use flying his very own private plane, or should we say planes, plural. First off, helping him to travel round the world in comfort and convenience, Tom is the proud owner of a Gulfstream G450 private jet. These planes don't come cheap, with the Top Gun lead reportedly shelling out a sizzling $38 million for it, over 3 times as much as the $12 million paycheck he actually received for his role in the cult film. There is room for 19 people and a fully equipped kitchen to ensure that they're fed. Don't worry, Wi-Fi is included too. When he's in the mood for something a little smaller, a little fancier, and more reminiscent of his death-defying days as Maverick, Tom can hop into his exceptionally well-maintained P-51 Mustang, a plane which remarkably dates back to World War II, with the words "Kiss Me Kate" painted on the side, which we can only assume is a tribute to Katie Holmes. He bought his jet back in 2012, and based on similar sales, would have forked out millions for it. Clearly a keen aviator with a passion for the skies, Tom's also been spotted spending tens of thousands of dollars on helicopter piloting classes in London. While this movie star spends as much downtime as he can in the skies, for a change of scenery scenery, he doesn't mind a few hours on the water either. And when you've got access to over $500 million, you can rent or borrow any boat you choose. The active Scientologist has been snapped on board Dan Schneider's $100 million, 224-foot-long Lady S super yacht, soaking in the Croatian sun on its decks back in 2012. Speaking of Scientology, you didn't think that we could make it all the way through a Tom Cruise rundown without at least a mention or two, did you? According to the Underground Bunker, Tom has reached platinum meritorious status within the church, which means he had, by that point, given at least $2.5 million to Scientology. Allegedly, this number has grown even more, with rumors indicating that he's asked for his donations to remain anonymous and out of the public spotlight. But since his philanthropy far exceeds Scientology donations, Tom has notably contributed millions to a number of charity and nonprofit organizations, including the Barbara Davis Center for Childhood Diabetes, Friars Foundation, HELP, the Jackie Chan Charitable Foundation, the Lollipop Theater Network, Stockings with Care, and UNICEF. He also took part in the charity telethon for victims of 9/11 called America, a Tribute to Heroes. Actions speak louder than words, and sometimes actions speak louder than money. Case in point, when our main man saved people from a burning sailboat in Capri back in 1996 and pulled 2 children out of the way of an onrushing crowd in London. Evidently, the Tinseltown talent knows how to throw around a few cold hard stacks of cash. But let's rewind for a second. How did he become so darn rich in the first place? After taking up acting in high school, the action star made his film debut in Endless Love in 1981, but he only truly became a household name after playing the role of Joel in the 1983 movie Risky Business. For his work, he raked in a modest 75,000 buckaroos. As his reputation grew, so did his bank balance. Tom brought in over $20 million for Vanilla Sky in 2001, and another $20 for Oblivion in 2013, $11 million for Night and Day in 2010, $28 million for Fallout, and $7.5 million for Jack Reacher. His most lucrative performances, however, have been in the Mission Impossible series. Without a shadow of a doubt, across the entire franchise, Tom has made at least $285 million. When adjusted for inflation, that figure rockets to almost $390 million. All films considered, Cruise has been estimated to have collected upwards of $7,000 for each word he's spoken in a movie, which equates to around $205,609 for just 10 seconds of work. Holy smokes, that's a nice payday. His exorbitant net worth of $570 million places him miles ahead of George Clooney, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jackie Chan, Tom Hanks, and Brad Pitt. Tom's worth more than double than the entire net worth of Leonardo DiCaprio, and more than 4 times that of Thor himself, Chris Hemsworth. Pretty amazing, hey? If he's not spending it on giant houses or private planes or jumping up and down on Oprah's couch like a kid in a candy store, he's throwing around dollar bills like no tomorrow on his unbeatable collection of fast cars and even faster bikes. Let's take a quick tour through Tom Cruise's garage, shall we? Over the years, he's been spotted cruising around town. Hey, cruising, get it? Sorry. In a $2.6 million Bugatti Veyron, a Buick Roadmaster, which he decided to keep after filming Rain Man, a Chevrolet Corvette C1 from 1958, a 1970 Chevrolet Chevelle SS, which ended up appearing in Jack Reacher, and a Dodge Colt 1976, just to name a few. Each of these classic cars easily reaches tens of thousands of dollars in good condition. The impressive Porsche 928 that Tom drove in Risky Business sold for a smidge under $50,000 at auction. As far as more modern wheels go, Tom's also the proud owner of a 2010 Ford Mustang S281, which sells for around $30,000. His bike collection isn't something to scoff at either. Its focal point is an Italian-made chopper, the Virus 987 C34V, which is valued at just under $104,000, making it the most expensive darn motorcycle on the planet. As is the case with any wealthy person, whether A-list Hollywood heartthrob or not, the key to staying wealthy is to reinvest that cash. While Cruise has been more than happy to splurge a little, he's also found ways to put his money to good use, a perfect example of which is his production company, Cruise Wagner Productions. The company was initially created to give Tom more control over his acting projects and retain more of the profits, and has expanded as the years have gone on, likely to the tune of millions of dollars worth of investments. Of course, thanks to blockbuster hits, these investments are quickly and heartily repaid. It's those fat paychecks that allow Maverick himself to feel comfortable spending what most would deem excessive amounts on what would also deem frivolous, unnecessary expenses. Cruise reportedly spends a whopping $2 million every single year to hire a security team for his daughter Suri and ex-wife Katie. Hiring security, we can understand, but $2 million? Do you think that's justifiable? On top of that, he is also required to dish out $200,000 a year in child support payments for Suri.